Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Inappropriate Earl. I've brought the podcast back to my early days of interviewing just people I like and respect, which is why I don't do it anymore. But today is different. I have my late night brother from the Comedy Store on. He is an actor, a comic, already got two stand-up specials out. His third one airs in a few hours after this interview will be over, so please support him. He is one of the good ones in LA comedy. Welcome, Mr. Mo Mandel.
Oh, thank you. That's a hell of an intro, man.
Well, it's all
Late night dogs. That's what we are.
well, I think we've grown closer together since uh,
Yeah.
late night at the Comedy Store. How would you describe it?
Um, it's very much hit or miss. Is this gonna have been waiting around till 12:30 a.m. to bomb in awkward silence and hate myself even more as I drive home? Or is it gonna have that feeling like, you know what? I'm on the best stage in the world, and you still feel like you have had your moment.
Because it also depends, and I won't mention any names because you might be friends with them. Certain comics run the light, so
Ooh.
um, you could probably gather already who I'm talking about. But so your 11:15 spot now becomes 12:15, and because everyone after that comic, well, if so and so ran the light, I want to do a few extra minutes. Uh, and so we go on to a crowd that's even more tired than they normally would be. And they look at us like, make us laugh, monkey boys. You know, put the ball on your nose and bounce it for us. Um, like our spot the
And you
other.
feel like sometimes when you're, yeah, that was a perfect example the other night, and that's why I had a kind of a hard time up there, so I had to text you to hear how your night went up there, just so I should know how bad I should feel about my performance.
No, because you and I think, are somewhat alike. We're not just our jokes are well, at least yours are well prepared and nuanced and smart. Actually, that's just you. Um, so
No, I don't think that describes either of us.
I mean, you did a joke about being Jewish right before you brought me up, and it was like um, the crowd. At
Did
that
not love
point,
it.
they no. I mean, they want dick jokes and like,
I know.
and they were still laughing at the smartness of the joke, and that was a good sign for me. And then I liken it our spots at the store to going on at the end of a gangbang. Like, you're happy you went
Yeah,
to the movie, you just wish you went on earlier. So,
right.
but
And there's a lot of a mess to clean up. Somebody before you might have pissed off someone in the front row. Somebody already said something very offensive. Somebody bombed, and like the crowd's half leaving. So it's like we go up there and we really are like the demolition crew. It's like eating in a restaurant while they're already cleaning up the tables around you, and you're trying to keep the conversation going a little bit.
would you say it's the complete opposite of when you're headlining on the road, and usually before you is maybe one feature act, maybe a guest spot, and the host. So when you go up, the crowd's totally into everything you have to offer. But then at the store, you're going on after, I don't know, were there six or seven comics on the lineup? Uh, so they're a little more. How do you navigate between headlining where the crowd's fresh and they're fans of yours from Curb Your Enthusiasm and all the other things you've done to the Comedy Store, which is like a cattle call at times?
When I do the best at the Comedy Store when I go up late is when I have a real fucking unwilling to die mentality. Like I'm just going up there like a kamikaze pilot, and I'm just gonna make them laugh, and I'm gonna make sure I get them to laugh, and I'm gonna do whatever I have to do. And why I didn't do well the other night, I think, is because I try to stick to my game plan of like jokes I wanted to tell and work on, And that was the wrong. I think that's always the wrong thing in stand up a little bit, but definitely at the Comedy Store where you have to be in the moment. Late night, you have to go with where the room's at, you know? Whereas headlining, I think, people know you're going to be up there and talk for an hour. So they're kind of locked into you. So they'll give you the time and they have the patience for you to kind of work your way through, what you came there to do.
But I respected you the other night because you were like, I want to do this joke about being Jewish, and you guys are either going to be on board or. And I didn't think it bombed. You were getting laughs, so that made me feel confident. Like, okay, they're still engaged. Um, but you are right. It's a talent. You never know what you're following there. You either someone's bombing, which is
Yeah.
fine. I bomb here and there, or someone's killing. Like sometimes I've had to follow Steph Tolev talking about her pussy, and I'm like, I don't know what
Oh, yeah. She's a tough follow. She's a tough follow, man.
I
She
don't know how to follow
crushes.
that.
She just crushes.
Or yeah, I've never seen her bomb at the store. And then like the other night, I had to follow Jamar Neighbors. I don't know if you've ever had to follow him or, but it's like a black Andy Kaufman. He like he sells his art on stage. He does like this live auction, and he's like doing crowd work, and it's pretty impossible to follow. So I love following you because you're normal. Like just I have to follow up.
Oh, it's good.
So let's get to your special. Wait, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. No, no. Let's get to my special, but then I want to then tell you a story and get you to help me solve a comedy mystery. This will be a little hook to the audience. There's a comedy mystery that does occur, and I want to see if your brain can figure out who it is because I cannot.
Well, because I'm so impressed that you have a third special coming out. I mean, I'm in the middle of putting together my own, of course, who isn't, and the amount of work and nuance and the planning. I'm blown away that you are going to have three specials out, and these aren't like Tubi specials for 20 minutes. These are what's your process when you wake up? You go, I'm putting out a third special, and you tell me.
Well, I think what I've was specific. The first one was kind of like everything I got. It was like I got this opportunity to do it. It was somebody actually wrote this. I saw they had written a review of my album on some little site or whatever, and I thought they nailed it. The first one, they were like, "This is like a police officer looking at the clues on the board, and then drawing little lines together to form what this is all about." It's almost like it's accidentally about something,
Right.
Which I thought was pretty accurate for the first one. But this one is real specific because it's called Trying to Make It. And while there's a lot of different bits in there, a lot of it is about me and my wife, fertility struggles, trying to get pregnant, trying to become parents, and a big chunk of it, over 20 minutes, I think, is just about that. And then there's a lot of just like, then I got just some other stuff in there too. But I try to like weave this journey of us trying to become parents as the focal point of that, of the whole special. And I think a lot of it is just like I find when I look at what I've written, I'm like, okay, this is clearly what I feel like writing about, and that seems to be if you're into a topic, I feel like that's the one that's going to be getting the laughs. Right. When you're kind of like forcing yourself to write about something, those are usually the ones that are, not going to really end up connecting with the audience because you're not really connected to it,
Now, do you have to
So I guess.
I mean, I was going to say when you're talking about your fertility, not struggles, but the process, do you have to clear that with your wife? Like, hey, I'm going to talk about some pretty personal stuff. Do you mind?
I am very lucky that my wife never cares at all what I say about her on stage. And she's a dick doctor. She's a urologist. So she's kind of used to a little bit of and she's not squeamish, that's for sure. And then I don't know. I guess I feel like I talk about it respectfully, but yeah, I think she's been a kind of an open book about her own life on Twitter. She's got like a big Twitter following, so I'm very lucky like that though because I more and more as I get older as a comedian, I can't really write that much about not myself. Right. Everything has to be about my being a dad, husband, all that kind of stuff. So if my wife wouldn't let me talk about it, it would not be would not be an easy creative journey.
Now, since your wife is a urologist, did she have input
You
into
want
having a baby? Like, hey, we should do this then, because I'm a doctor. I know what I'm talking about.
a little bit, but not as much as I would have liked. I wanted her to like grab it by the horns and be like, "You got to get it in me now. I want 4 strokes. We're doing missionary position. You got to try to come to the left side. That's how we're gonna." She wasn't. I wanted more of a roadmap, and I think doctors have this funny thing where like a lot of times when it comes to their own medical stuff and they're not necessarily that on top of it. Like doctors make the worst patients is kind of the saying.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I was hoping she would know a little bit more specifics, but it was yeah, we just took us like over 2 years before she got pregnant with our daughter, and she's actually pregnant now. We have a son who's due in January,
That's all.
so pretty yeah, pretty awesome. We got a little baby boy due in January, but it just took like over 2 years. We were trying all this stuff, we were doing everything, and it was actually we got lucky because of some bad bureaucracy. We had signed up for like IVF, and the doctor who we were trying to go with took so long and they were so inept that by the time they actually got around to doing it, getting ready to do it, we magically got pregnant on our own. So it was a lucky break that they did not have their shit together.
And what's it like being a parent and you're one of the most working comics I know of in terms of the road? Uh, is there like a special system you've set up with your wife, or like, hey, I have to go, I don't know, do Gutfeld in New York for the next 3 days, or play side splitters in Tampa? Like, do you need assistance, like a nurse, or how's that work?
Well, it's tough because I don't really make enough money on the road to where if I hire someone else to be here, it's going to even be worth going.
Right.
Like it is. It's like you get in there, you could sell some tickets, but sell some merch. But like if you rent a car and you hire a nanny, listen, why'd you even go to Tampa for 3 nights? So it's tough, man. I used to be on the road all the time, and now it's a mixture of it's financially hard to go on the road, and also you just don't. I personally just don't want to be gone for 4 nights. It's like it's fun to be around your kid. You wake up, you see your kid. It's like if you're on the road now, it's like for me, I'm FaceTiming with my daughter. I just feel like what It just I don't know. I'm still trying to work that out in my head because I'm not one of those comics who didn't like being on the road. I love being on. I really feel like I create much more. I'm like so much more connected to comedy when I'm, like just out there doing an hour every night. So yeah, especially this past year, I haven't been touring a lot, and it's yeah, it's definitely like I'm trying to like wrestle with that in my mind. What is the most important thing to me right now?
Because it's like you said, you have to be either TikTok famous or like just someone like a Matt Rife who blew up viral video, and now he does theaters. He does. I wouldn't even say he does the road. He does theaters. That's doing comedy to me. Or
Oh yeah, dude. I mean, that's different. If you could fly into a place and do one night and be back and you made $100,000, that's very different than being like, all right, I live in this hotel in this parking lot for 4 nights. Let's
yeah,
hope I sell some shirts.
dealing with Fred from the Comedy Zone in Jacksonville. That's like yeeks. But then but you act. I mean, it's hard to make money in LA comedy. It's virtually impossible. So it's
Yeah,
I
I know
think
that's the problem.
acting to fall back on, and I'm lucky to have voiceovers too. If I relied on my comedy income, I'd be homeless. But
Man, I am jealous of you that you've cracked that voiceover thing. How did you do? I mean, you have a great voice, but how did you do that? Because ever since I've had an agent, I've always had them be like, "Oh, and you have a great voice for voiceover. We're going to get you in with our voiceover department. You're going to kill." And then I get like zero response. I just record and I send it, and then it's like I didn't send it at all. So the fact that you've done that's pretty impressive.
I mean, I got really super lucky as much as I have some bad memories of roast battle. The one night where it was like super packed, I owe Gerard Carmichael huge thank you, because he had bought Tyler the Creator with him, and I didn't know who Tyler was. I'm an '80s metalhead, so he came up to me afterwards and was like, "Hey, you have the deepest, most baritone voice I've ever heard. I want you to be my father." And I thought he was like fucking with me, so I was like, "Who are you?" He's like, "I'm Tyler the Creator." I'm like, "Great, I'm Earl the comic." Uh, and
That's so funny.
Well, I think he liked that I didn't know who he was, and I, I didn't mean to disrespect,
Yeah.
but so I got very, very lucky. But even then, it's still a
No,
brutal.
but that's usually when you have the best conversation with a celebrity.
Yeah, I remember talking on the ramp with him at the Andaz, and I knew he had to be someone because he was with Gerard, and I'm like, oh, I better apologize to him for some of the things I said upstairs in the belly room, because that was in more of the wild days of roast battle, and then it just, in the voiceover world, once you get one gig, you're in. Um, but still, it's hard, like, because like I go up against like James Earl Jones. Now he doesn't audition; he gets the offer. But if he says no, I don't want to do it, then I come into the mix. But yeah, but you
Well,
have
you're in luck
100%. Like
because he's dead.
I know, I'm not gonna
No, I
lie.
mean you're in luck with James Earl Jones. So
I'm not gonna lie.
now you're going to get all these parts.
When he died, I wasn't happy, but I'm like, well, that's just one less baritone. But you were in the last episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Man.
That's like mind blowing to me. Like, how did that come about?
Dude, yeah, I got to be in the last season. It was literally an audition. Fucking crazy. They just sent me one line, and a friend of mine who actually does a lot of voice, I had him do the audition with me, and he just did. We just improv like a 3 minute scene at him. Of him doing all the different characters' voices, and sent it off. I didn't hear anything for a month, and all of a sudden, I just get an email like, "You booked it, Curve." I'm like, "What? It's fucking crazy." Like, no callback, no anything. So that was fucking amazing. Yeah, that was really, really cool. I mean, I kind of couldn't even believe that I
Did
actually got to
you
do that
did
because
you
it's one of
get
my
to
all-time
interact
favorite shows.
with Larry David at all, or
Yeah, no, totally. In fact, yeah, because he's pretty like approachable. He was kind of hanging around Studio Village. I mean, I didn't like bullshit with him too much, but then I got to do like one little moment with Jeff Garlin where I kind of like say something to Susie, and then Jeff gets in my face and grabs me, and then it happens as they're on their way into a theater. And that was one night, and then the next day, Jeff Schaefer, the director, is like, "Hey, I want you to sit behind Larry in the theater, and when he's like talking with somebody, shush him and tell him to be quiet." So we have this moment where Larry's talking to this person, I'm right behind him. I'm like, "Shut up!" And he's like, "Fuck you!" And I'm like, "Fuck you!" And he like looks at me like, fuck. It was like really funny. And then he comes up to me afterwards. He's like, no, after they call cut, he goes, were you supposed to shush me? I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm not just gonna fucking do that on my own, So I'm like, I go to the director, Jeff Schaefer. I'm like, Jeff, tell him what I was supposed to do. And he's like, yeah, we told me, forgot. But he also said to me that Larry likes it to be natural. So sometimes they don't tell him when they want people to fuck with him like that, which is hilarious. So yeah, I actually got to say "fuck you" to Larry David. I wish that would have made the cut because it was really funny.
oh, it didn't
But
make the cut?
that one was just for the editor, as it turned out. That that moment did not make the cut. I wish it would have. But yeah, because I was like in the I got to be like, shut up. We had the whole little mini thing. But I kind of figured they'd cut it because it was like, all the focus was right here. And like, I was like, it wouldn't really make sense if I was like, my guy was interacting that much. But it's pretty cool because I'm not talking, but I have like great screen time right behind Larry David for like 30 seconds. Like him and Cheryl are talking. I'm like right behind them. It looks like a Forrest Gump thing where they just kind of like cut and pasted me in there.
Now, let's get back to your special. Where did you film it? Did you do two shows? Tell me about the intricacies of that night.
I made a huge mistake of shooting it in Phoenix in the dead of summer, like August 26th, like boiling hot. So I actually shot it over a year ago. I shot it like last summer. Um, and the club, great club, one of my favorites, the House of Comedy. I don't know if you've ever done it in Phoenix, but it's fucking great. Killer room. Not great AC. Not great AC. So they had to fucking crank the AC super loud. Luckily, I had a really good audio engineer who came in from 800-pound Gorilla, the label, and he was able to kind of like work around the AC noise so you don't hear any of that. It sounds like perfect. But when I was in there, I was like, damn, dude, is this like I'm like sweating? I bought like 3 versions of the jacket I wore so I could change between each show because I was just sweating through, you know. Um, but it came out great, and the crowds were like really hot, and I shot like 4 shows, so I had a lot to work with.
Did you deal with Tammy or Rick?
Tammy, I
Tammy's
know now it's yeah, I love Tammy. I love Tammy. Yeah, that club's great, dude. I like that crowd. I like Phoenix because like they're just sort of in the middle, you know. They don't really give a fuck about anything. They don't get offended, but they're also not like real conservative. They're not real liberal. They're kind of like this perfect kind of mix, sort of like Florida, where they're just kind of down for a good time and they don't seem to take themselves too seriously, you know?
so what's you shoot 4 shows, you what's the editing process? I mean, it must be hard to like mix and match because I know some comics have done one special where it's like Hinchcliffe did one shot where it's just
Yeah.
here it is, warts and all. So are you trying to like jigsaw puzzle all the best bits into one? Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, I envy the idea of having the balls to just do like a one shot, one kill approach because it would have freed up a lot of the last year for me because I'm so OCD that I like obsess about everything, you know? So for the first cut of the special was like an hour and 10 minutes. And then like everybody was like, dude, why are you don't burn all that material, you know? So I edited it down to 50 minutes, just over 50, I think. But yeah, it's tough, man. It's hard because like you do one joke and it might go good, but you're like, kind of like how I made like an expression there. I kind of like, the way my body is there. You can see the stool is a little weird in that angle, you know? So you have to kind of like sort of play that game of you're like, is it worth chopping it up, to get this little moment? And is that going to make it feel weird? Because then we have to cut over here So I definitely try to use the best moments from every show if I could. And then it was a question of like, there was some great crowd work moments in there, like just some really crazy shit. It was the dead of summer. People were drinking. They were a little nuts in some shows. And I was having to decide, like, do I want to keep some of these moments in there? Like, there's one crazy moment where I'm talking about Jews, and this guy just goes, fuck them. I'm like, what? He's like, fuck the Jews. And then it became like this crazy, weird fucking moment. And I was like, if I keep this in, that's going to be like the takeaway.
Right.
And I don't really want that to be taken because that's not really what the special is about. So I'm just going to post it. And I'm trying to decide if I should blur this guy's face out or not for the sake of his life. Because he went in there. He knew he had the right to air it. And he's front and center. So I don't know, but I don't want to ruin his life if he's not an actual Nazi.
Now, when it, who knows? It is Scottsdale.
Who knows? I mean, it could go either way.
Now, when 800-pound Gorilla gets involved, do they then have input of like, hey, this is what we want in the special, or were they, hey, you give us what you want?
No, they were pretty like, it's your special, they came in and just handled the audio. I did the filming. I hired somebody myself. So, no, they were really like, you tell us what you want. They had an editor that I worked with, over Zoom. It's a really good editor named David Shamban. And, yeah, I mean, they were very like, you tell us what you want to do. And then when it came time to like editing it up, they had some ideas about how to like tighten tracks and stuff like that. But they're great. Yeah, they're really great. And very, very professional, which is like not the usual feeling you have with stand-up related stuff. Like they have like spreadsheets and they're like, we're going to promote like this. And, it's like very, very organized, which is cool.
I mean, you mentioned promoting, and I'm so fascinated by how you promote things now. Like MTV, they don't even play fucking videos anymore, which was a big thing for bands to be like, hey, here's our video for this song, go buy the record. And now Comedy Central is kind of like gone the way of reality shows and whatnot more than stand-up specials or Netflix. It's pretty hard to get on that. How do you go about
Dude,
promoting? Oh, go
I have
please.
no idea, but no, I have never experienced the magic of Netflix until the last few weeks. I have one scene in this show called Nobody Wants This, which is the number one show on Netflix. And I just have one scene. I'm in it for like 2 minutes. The amount of people have hit me up is unfucking believable. Like clearly when something goes viral on Netflix, like is a big hit, like it must be like just 100 million people who see it. I mean, it's just unbelievable.
Oh,
So, fuck, dude, if you could be one of those people who gets your fucking special right there, oh, it must be unbelievable.
or even like some of my friends who were on the Tom Brady roast, like it's just even
Right.
we're just writers on it. Their name is at the credits. They're like, I got 100, 200 followers just from people seeing my name in the credits, and I mean, it's truly the I mean, it's what we all want. But if you're not
It's
on,
like right here. I'm not on Netflix, so it is like this battle of like, yeah, how the fuck do you get people to see it? Because I don't know. I mean, you know how it goes. Sometimes you put your best bits online, and it won't get a lot of views, and then you just put some bullshit throwaway crowd work moment, and it'll somehow find its way to the algorithm and get a ton of views. So, yeah, it's a little nerve wracking. I've just been trying to hit the ground, ask everybody I know to put me on their podcast. That was very nice of you to put me on. I've been doing a bunch of other ones that I'm just like, you just got to trust in Yahweh and get it out there into the algorithm universe.
I mean, that's I'll bring up Rife again, who I've never actually met. Like, I remember when he couldn't get work in this town. You know, for 6, 7 years, he was just on his own show at the Laugh Factory, and then he just kept pumping video after video out, and then one crowd work that
Dude,
viral, and bam.
then that's it. But check this out. This is how long his story has been going on. Back in like 2000, I don't know, 12, 13, maybe when I was on like Chelsea lately a lot. I was touring a lot. And he used to hit me up on Twitter, this kid, Matt Rife, 15, 16 years old. And he'd say, hey, man, you're my favorite comedian. You're going to be performing near me at this club. Can I come do a guest set? It means so much. Like my favorite comic. I love your special so much, blah, blah, blah. And I never took him up on it because I'm like, what do I want? Some 15-year-old kid, And he did it like a few times when I'd come near his house, right? And then one time I looked him up on Twitter and he was doing that to every comedian who came through his area. And be like, you're my favorite. Oh, dude, if I could just, oh, boy. Dude, nothing but respect. Nothing but respect. Dude, imagine that kind of hustle when you're 15 or 16.
No, I
But
mean, I don't hate on the guy at all. Like, he did what we're all trying to do. We go maybe our podcast goes viral, or whatever. Just one thing you said. Oh, let's see this guy's special. That was pretty funny, and so I just where can people? This special will be out in literally hours. Where
it's
can
going to be on 800 Pound Gorilla's YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube, 800 Pound Gorilla, it's going to be 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time it airs. And I'm going to be on K Rock doing the morning show as it airs, and I'm going to be doing live chats in the comments. So, yeah, dude, I mean, if people want to watch it, log on, watch it while it's premiering, and just fucking, share it if you like it. Put a good comment, put a good thumbs up, all that crazy shit that we need people to do. And hopefully people watch it, I mean, because like you're saying, it's kind of like Bill Burr's a good example. I remember talking to people and they were saying that, like, in the industry, that everyone kind of thought Bill Burr was going to be one of those guys who has just real funny, that everybody knew was real funny, but never really, popped. And then he had that Opie and Anthony moment, where he counted down to 10 minutes on stage. And then it was just like, so that's the kind of thing that keeps us hanging in there. We love stand up. Me and you, I mean, we are guys who love doing this, holding on to the dream, where they're at midnight at the Comedy Store, trying to give CPR to this fucking crowd. That's how much we want it and need it,
oh,
and we're just hoping. Yeah.
oh,
Oh, I do too.
But you're also, I've seen you kill at pawn shows in Redondo Beach. Like, a comic of your caliber, usually most aren't going to go to pawn shows. It's a great room, but like, they're just, I'm going to work out my material at the Laugh Factory, the Comedy Store. You still put in the grind, and that's impressive to me.
Thank you, man. That's the only way I know how to be, really. I kind of like, I don't know. I think I've always been like that about things. Like I'm obsessive about it. So when I start doing it, and then also at this point in stand up, I mean, like my friends are comedians, whether or not I hang out with them socially that much, like going to that group of comedians, that is my social time, and that is kind of that connects me to other people who are doing what I'm doing. Especially now, it's like, as an actor, what do? You put an audition on tape and send it in. You don't see anybody. I mean, you do a pitch meeting for some show. It's over Zoom. But when you do a comedy club or ponchos, anywhere you go, it's like you're around creative people. I don't know. I find it like this. I don't want to use the term soul, but it is good for whatever that part of you is that needs that.
Oh, sure. I mean, before COVID, you used to have to go in to your agency's vocal booth and you see the sound guys and all the agents. And it was like, I loved it just to have an interaction with people who aren't stand-ups. But now you just, you have to have a home studio. You do it, you send it in and hope for the best. But yeah, I love seeing you and other people I don't get to see a lot because I appreciate the good. The older I've gotten in comedy, the more I appreciate people like you and like Eleanor and Rick Ingram, just people you don't see, but you really love and respect.
What are your places that you go when you're not at the store? Where's your workout spots?
I've struggled recently with going to like. I mean, as wacky as the Comedy Store is, it's still not lost on me that it's the number one club in the world that we, and the mothership too, I guess, and the stand and whatnot. But I like the last few times I've done ponchos, I bombed, and I'm nervous, I'm uncomfortable there, so I don't really go up at a lot of bar shows anymore. I get too disheartened.
It's a certain kind of toughness that I think you develop when you're starting out in comedy, where you can go up anywhere because you just know how to like tune out what else is going on and just like find a way to win. And then the more you get used to doing like clubs, where even if it is late night, people are there for a show, they've invested in a show, you almost get like, it's not that you get softer. I just think you kind of lose that ability to kind of like tune out the chaos and still be able to perform. Because I definitely feel like that. Like I if I go up in like a loud bar, it's like man, I don't really know how to do this anymore. Like this is a different kind of dance now, that I'm used to doing.
I think I've lost the desire to fight the audience. Like I used to
That too. Yeah.
loud bar shows. I'm like, I'm gonna get them, man. I don't care if the Laker game's on. You got a dart game over there, pool game over there, and I would usually win them over. My friend at one point was like, Earl, you're the Dane Cook of shitty rooms. But now it's like the last time I did ponchos, a friend of Ocean's he got a guest spot and he's putting up, I've never seen this before. For a guest spot at a bar, he put up a banner with his social media and,
oh, God.
I mean, it was a 10-foot banner. I was impressed with that level of whatever. And then go on after him, and he's passing out his business cards to the crowd. And I almost snapped.
Tough.
And I'm like,
yeah,
I
it's
can't
tough.
do shows anymore. Like I get wanting to make it and promoting, but I'm like, this guy bought a banner to a bar show.
Yeah, that's hard. That's the kind of thing where like you'll judge that guy unless it all of a sudden is really working. You'd be like, fuck, I got to buy a banner. What I mean? Like if Bert Kreischer took his shirt off and it didn't work, people would make fun of that forever. You know what I mean? They'd be like, yeah, this guy tried to take his shirt off and that was like going to be his gimmick. But it worked. And you're like, oh, yeah, fuck, that's awesome. So he's a great comic and he's got a good gimmick, But if you're not a great comic and you got a gimmick and it doesn't work, well, now you look like a real piece of shit.
I mean, I was impressed with the guy. I wish I was that hungry still where I'm like, I'm going to go to Kinko's. Yeah. I'm going to print a banner. I used to pass out business cards too, but I would wait till the comedy show was over. But, Mo, this has been amazing.
Can I just clarify something for any hate? I'm not talking shit about Bert Kreischer. I want to make that clear. I'm just saying, imagine him not good taking his shirt off. That's a different Bert Kreischer.
No, I know you're.
But yeah, because I want to make it very clear. I would love to go on the road with him if he ever, can't find anyone else to do it.
Yeah, me too. Bert, if you're, but see, that could go viral. That's just that one thing you said about Bert in the shirt, and then bingo, you're in theaters.
Yeah, bingo. I got a text with one of his openers being like, "Hey, Bert tells you to shut the fuck up on podcasts." And I got to tell you the comedy mystery. The comedy mystery.
Yes.
Okay. This could go viral. I do a show the other night. Fucking kill. I'm doing crowd work. I'm trying to get my little TikTok clips, and I'm murdering the crowd. Right. Undoing my camera in the back, feeling good about myself. This woman comes up to me, black hair, white woman, 35 to 40. This age is important. And she says, my dad is a famous comedian. And he always told me, if you have to make fun of the audience to get laughs, then you're not funny. And you're not funny. And I said, who's your dad? And she goes, I'm not telling. And went and sat back down. Whoa. So who would have a daughter that's 35 to 40 in this area, white woman, dark hair, and who would say that to their kid? What kind of shitty comic would say that to their kid?
All right. Now, I've watched so many episodes of CSI and Chicago PD. I picture myself as the Jason Bahee of LA comedy. He's the old cranky detective on Chicago PD. Okay.
I'm the David Caruso. I need some glasses. Where are my glasses?
Oh, I love me some David Caruso.
He's the best.
I used to work at a gym in Santa Monica, and he came in one night and he started to take out his money to pay for a guest pass. And I'm like, hey, you were in Crime Story. You can go in for free. And he's like, all the things I've done in my career, and you remember me from Crime Story? I'm like, yeah. Well, all right, let's put this together. All right, she's 35 to 40, so that means her dad would probably be at least 20 years older. So in his early 60s, let's say. He's probably anti-roast type of humor.
Clearly.
So
I mean, I brought this up to somebody else who's a generation above us, and he said, no. He said, that person's dad is 70 to 80, and he said, every guy at that generation, that's how they think. He said, they all had that attitude. But for the purposes of the discussion, I'm wondering, is there somebody we might know, like a Tom Dreesen, like of that generation? Like, I don't think Tom would say that. But somebody maybe of that generation. I don't know.
What's funny, I know his daughter, Jen, and that is something she would say to someone, but it's not. She's probably in her mid 40s now, but she does have black hair. I gotta be honest.
Does she live in Long Beach?
She lived, when I knew her, in the Valley. It does sound like you're right, but see, I could see Tom Dreesen saying that because he's not. I remember he was the first because I knew his daughter. She was like, "Hey, Earl, why don't you make a tape and I'll show it to my dad for the Tonight Show?" Because I think him and Argus hold like the record for appearances still. Like, it's something insane.
Yeah.
And I literally sent him a tape of me at the Hot Wired Cafe with espressos machine going on. I was not ready to send him a tape. And he's like, "You're a little too dirty, son." Called me son, and I'm like 35. So let's look at some of Tom Dreesen's contemporaries. I mean, it might be a guy like Richard Klein, he's got to be in his 70s. And I think he was kind of anti-roast. Lewis Black, maybe. See, I love shit like this.
Does he have kids, though? Does Lewis Black have a daughter?
I don't know.
I doubt it. Tom Dreesen, by the way, one time told me the craziest fucking story at the Comedy Store about Joey Gallo and Johnny Carson, and it was fucking bananas. It involved Frank Sinatra too is such a good story
honest.
that oh god, I'll tell you off
Yeah,
the
I
air.
mean the things
But it was amazing.
that those guys. Now I'm really into this. I'm trying. I mean, let's split the difference. I think. I mean, comics come in people pretty easily, so I could see a 20-year-old having a kid. But let's say for they're 30. Let me see, Tom Dreesen. I mean, Joey Bishop, maybe. It might be someone who's deceased.
Then
So,
Joey, I mean, that's old, isn't it? I mean, he would be in his 80s.
but let me see. I know
It's not Dom Herrera because he would
I thought of
definitely.
him, but I think Dom likes ball busting too.
Oh, he ball busts. I don't think he has kids either.
It could be. Trying to think.
But
Wow, I mean that's a tough one because people.
impression her father's famous, or is he actually famous?
I mean, yeah, that's another thing. She might be embellishing his fame, so that makes it. I mean, could be Taylor Negron, who was the pizza guy in Fast Times.
I met that guy one time.
Where?
He took at Mendocino Farms on Fairfax, and he was talking about how he took a lot of credit for writing that movie. He was friends with the writer, I think, and he was sort of in that brief conversation. There was a lot of like you could just tell he was sort of like throwing out there, like, I mean, I did a lot. I definitely wrote.
I mean,
It's just so funny, man. He was great though.
he picked up on me at the hardware store. I live like in the heart of West Hollywood, and he's pretty identified. I mean, that was a big movie for someone my age, so he's still at that time was kind of identifiable. And I'm looking at shower heads, and he just strolls up to me and goes, "I'm having a dinner party tonight. Would you like to come?" And I'm like, "Who else is going to be there?" And he's like, "Just you and me." I'm like, "Oh man, come on."
No way. He used that old joke on you?
Oh, I'd never heard that before. So I was
Oh,
like,
that's an old street joke. It's a classic old street joke where like a guy moves out into the woods and he's trying to work on his novel, and this guy comes over and goes, "Hey, would you like to come to my party tonight? What's going to be going on there?" Dancing. I like dancing. What else? Like, might be some sex involved. Like, oh, who's going to be there? He goes, well, the guy goes, "Oh, what time should I show up?" He goes, "That don't matter. Just going to be me and you." That's hilarious that he took an old street joke and tried to use it to get some booty. I love it.
it was his delivery of just so deadpan. I was like, oh man. Now hold on, I'm trying. See, I have ADD. Now that you put this into my head,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
remember going to
I mean, it's not Ray Romano, right? It's not Ray Romano. He's too cool for that. Ray's too cool for that.
I mean, I do remember going to Tom Dreesen's house once, and it was amazing because it was like all these people of his era, and it was hard not to get starstruck. It's like, oh, there's Foster Brooks, there's this person, there's that person. What about a guy like Joe Pesci? Maybe it might not have been. I mean, he's not a comic,
yeah.
but like I could see him growing up on someone like, say, Henny Youngman, who that was his. That's a comic, Henny Youngman, not this roast shit. Uh, so,
Yeah.
well, you've ruined my night, Mo, because now I'm going to think about every possible.
We got to figure this out. We need to figure this out, man. It's got. I mean, I don't know. I'm going to keep asking people. Someone's going to crack it. Someone's going to crack it. I think we have to go to guys of that generation because we don't know who's got kids. We don't know. We don't know which ones of these guys.
I think you're on to something, though. I do think it's someone Tom Dreesen like who, and then you look at some of the people, like, if you look at some of the Tonight shows from the 70s, maybe it's a David Brenner type.
Yeah. David Brenner, dark-haired guy, right?
Yeah.
Not a bad one.
Jewish. I mean, I know you can't look at someone and go, "Oh, they're Jewish," but like,
she could have been Jewish. She had a Yenta quality to her. But I said to her, so this is what I said. I went up to her afterwards. Like, she was watching the next comedian. I was like, "Hey, come, I want to ask you a question because I want to know what she was offended by, And she goes, I want to watch him. He's funny. I was like, damn. And I said to her, I'm like, all right, just ask your dad if what you said to me was appropriate. I think you'll be surprised by his answer. And she's like, I will. So I was very respectful, but I am, I'm curious because I bet she did at some point or will say to her dad, oh, by the way, I saw this comedian. He was really, whatever. And then blah, blah, blah. And I'm just curious, for all I know, that's like Jerry Seinfeld's going to hear. So this guy, Mo Mandel, was talking.
So the dad's still alive. So, I mean, I know it's not him, but
Yes, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
it could be someone. Like I know his daughter works there, so you would obviously know, but like Chevy Chase, like someone like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's, I
Yeah.
mean, I know it's
Yeah.
not him, but like, because he's a pretty serious, like, that's not, he seems
Yeah.
like he would be like, Mo, that's not funny to say. So it might be like a Bill Murray type. Maybe it's a comic actor.
Dude, speaking of that generation, I once shot a movie for a month with Jackie Mason in the Newark courthouse. And every day I would tell him I was a comedian and he would forget every day or just wouldn't acknowledge it.
Right.
And the last day of shooting, finally goes, all right, so you're a comedian, tell me a joke. So I told him a joke that is kind of a ripoff of one of an old Jackie Mason joke. It's like a joke I really liked at the time. And I was like, I have a friend, he's half Jewish and he's half black. He can open a history book up to any page. Fuck. And Jackie Mason just goes, that joke only works because you say fuck.
All right. Well, I could talk to you forever. Where can people find you on social media? Get plug away.
All right. The Real Mo Mandel on Instagram, Mo Mandel Facebook, TikTok, Mo Mandel. And please check out the special 800-Pound Gorilla's YouTube channel, Trying to Make It. It's on Spotify, iTunes, all that kind of stuff. So please check it out. Tell your friends. And thanks for having me on, dude. This has been fun.
Oh, dude.
Fun to see you in daylight.
I know it's weird to see like someone you used to see in a dark comedy hallway at 12 at night. But guys, Mo's one of the good ones. I don't ask you to buy any of my shit or whatever, promote my stuff. Watch Mo's stuff. Tomorrow morning, K-Rock. I'm going to tape it. I'm not up in the mornings, as you know. But Mo, you're the best. And whatever you need, man, just ask and support Mo Mandel. He is truly one of the good ones.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it, man. Peace.